Hey, welcome to Conversation Piece. You've made it to the channel. Congratulations. Just had a great conversation with a man who has been such a giant part of my life in affecting change, causing change. And he's known for not really giving you the answers that you want. In fact, sometimes not even giving you answers. His name is John Smith. I would drop a mic if I had one, but I don't. If you know him, there's no need for an introduction. If you do, I highly suggest you watch this. It is worth every single minute all the way to the end. It is so good. So thank you for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Like it helps me a ton. We're gonna dive into this bad boy. It's about to get real fun. Let's go. For people that don't know you, kind of just a snapshot of who you are, just a little more into who John Smith is.
Absolutely. Well, I did perform your wedding, so
Yeah, I mean, that was the best
I owe this
15
to you.
minutes of
It's
my
good.
life, man.
That's the shortest.
I was so
Best
grateful.
15 minutes of your life. I know. Let's get this thing over with. Oh my gosh, I do remember that. I'm John. I married for 21 years. My wife Rose, and we have the boys just turned 9 a week and a
way.
half ago, so August 19th. Yeah, and they are super tall now. They got. I'm hoping they get my height.
Come on.
Yeah, so 21 years. Lived in Seattle now for 26 years.
Okay.
Grew up kind of all over the West, and my father was a pastor for a while, teacher for a while, and we were constantly moving around. So I lived in, which was kind of a fun experience growing up. I didn't know how to kind of be planted, so I'm very grateful to be in Seattle for the last 26 years. Been working at Church Home now for 17 years.
Wow.
Known you for what, 15? Yeah. And your brother and your family. So yeah, 17 years. Done was our intern program, and now it's Church Home College.
Right.
The whole time, along with other roles at the church.
And what is it?
Whatever,
I was
whatever.
asking
Yeah.
someone the other day, what is it? Your role is what at Church Home? Like you just direct it all? For the
college, yeah, my wife and I do. And
Oh, yeah, that's right.
she's the brains of the outfit. She has all of the university experience, and so runs the thing, and I can just teach and lead and
Direct people.
have fun. Yeah, no, it's the best. I could just pastor, just be great. No, so it's Rose has worked with me now for 7 years. So she worked at a university for 20 and was a VP for about 10, and then came on board. So it's our 7th year working together, and she only does more, and I only do less, and it's a wonderful
That's the
arrangement.
best end of the deal.
Absolutely. So yeah, she's doing that, and with our staff and students from around the world, and we're having fun, and feel like it gets better every year.
Wow.
I mean, no better than your year. It was
Yeah.
the best.
Right,
but-
right.
And Haley.
Yeah.
But it's been a wild ride, and I'm at the age now where it's like, okay, what year was that, and who was what class, but it's been a wonderful, wonderful life for sure. Yeah.
Before I get into the question I want to ask, I just
Yeah.
thought about this. How in the world do you do this? As a person or as a pastor and leading all these people, how do you, you're seeing groups of kids all of the time. In
Yeah.
my brain, I don't know how you could have capacity for to be genuine, and because it's a relationship on some level with all these people you're pouring into them. I mean, I'm guessing. Is there, I'm just so curious how you go about that. And you love these people and move on to the next one. And then the people from 6 years ago want to go, hey, John.
And I'm a bit of an emotional person, so that has been a challenge. I think maybe the number one thing I've learned through the years is to take myself a lot less seriously. You knew me back then, and every person has grace in their life. Everyone has a gift, and you can operate in it.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that your soul's completely healthy. Doesn't mean that you've got everything together. And I think I was, when you're younger too, you have a tendency to really take yourself serious. Probably where our church was too, a little bit more, pretty serious, pretty intense. Some of the leaders, but it is what it is. And I had to grow up, and I had a lot of good people in my life that helped me do that, and especially my wife. And now, I don't know. And I think, even when our church went to Los Angeles, and I remember Pastor Judah saying, your heart doesn't divide, your heart grows.
Wow.
And that's what I feel every year. I feel like my heart grows. And I've done nearly 50 weddings now. You guys were probably, in the first 10.
I'm surprised you're still doing them.
It's honestly, I love it. If I know the people, and if I don't, I'll get to know them, and it's good. But when you know, especially for you guys and so many others, it is the joy of life. The most important day besides meeting Jesus. And with your families and everything, and I get to be such a big part of it. It just kind of is what it is. Like, I could sink this thing. I could really mess this thing up. Thankfully, I have yet to do anything terrible, which is really, really good. And I think I probably because I'm so nervous, to do that. I don't know, man. I probably count myself the most grateful. I definitely am a very lucky man on a lot of levels. The amount of people. I think as long as you're willing to learn from everybody too. I mean, I teach and I do all that, but to the capacity I'm able to learn from each year, from each generation, it's kept me young. I mean, I've been around high school and college students my whole life.
Wow.
So I'm almost more comfortable socially.
Yeah, sure.
Which keeps you honest and young, and now I've got 9-year-olds that are going to take over the tennis world, and so we're enjoying that process too. And like I overstate that a little bit,
I mean,
but
they're pretty incredible.
we are definitely having fun. So yeah, so they are. That's kind of a big part of life too, is tournaments and stuff, and they're beating up on each other, and they're highly competitive like their mother. So I don't know where they get that from.
No, definitely not you.
No, not me. Yeah. I don't know at all. No, but yeah, it's what a life. What a great life. Seriously. But and to be really transparent, I mean, having relationships like you, and and many of your friends, and kind of through, there's always special relationships. So it's not the same for everybody. That's not real life.
Right.
And then the journey that you and Haley went on, and we all continue to. That's just, those are special things in life that. It's not just like I'm there for you. No, we're in this together,
right? And
we always have been. And so, because you never know what a day will bring and what life will bring, and so it's fun it's just fun to get to hang out and talk to you too, like this.
Well, I'm really
officially,
really, I was like, I can't believe John said yes. Like, I mean, I can, but I couldn't because I was like,
honestly, when I saw that you had the show, I was like, he better sure the heck ask me. So if I have to ask to go on the show, that's just embarrassing.
No, never. I was like, I need to build this so I actually can like have something to say.
Oh my gosh!
And then I'll have the people on.
Two-parter with Sam, and then you were ready.
Right. Okay. Well, I have so many things in my head, so I'll start with your story of. I don't know that I necessarily infertility, but like your story of becoming, you guys getting pregnant. Could you submit kind of like what was that?
Yeah, we got married in '98. I was 23, she was 27. Just want to throw that out there.
Yep.
And then,
no big deal.
Yeah, probably right around second year of marriage, around in 2000. And okay, it's time. And you buy the name books and you do the whole thing. Right. We still have the originals.
No way.
Because as the time went on, I think we bought more. Like that was the solution.
Right. This helps.
Maybe there's more names we haven't considered, and the Lord is waiting for us to find it. It's just so weird.
Oh, man.
So yeah, 2000, and we tried. We did everything. You do everything, and then people give you advice, and which is good. I mean, in the sense of people who've been through or know, and yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about the hard stuff too, but. Years would go by. Right about the 4th or 5th year, probably right about the time that you and I met, that's when it really started getting hard for me. And I mean, you'd even remember from.
Yes.
I made preposterous statements in class sometimes. One time I remember, and I think I tell the doctrine students every year, and I wasn't even I was just subbing for Pastor Jude, and I make this statement of, you don't need hope, you just need faith. Because I was so broken, and wanting to hold on to this, desire of your heart and this and real promise from Scripture, not just like some artificial thing. And who says that? Like, you don't need hope; you just got to trust God. And that was stirred up, and all of that really humanistic, in a sense, kind of stuff that we do. But that's how broken I was.
Wow.
And that was a tough season. We got through that. My wife was amazing. And probably about the 7th year, so around 2007, I remember vividly a conversation of, you know what, at the end of the day, end of 07 to 08, Jesus is the promise. The promise isn't, and I've held on to that, and I'll hold on to that the rest of my life. The promise is not the desires of our heart. The promise isn't what we think we want, or what we know we want, or even what we feel like God has told us. Yeah. Ultimately, He is that promise. And I remember Rose and I looking at each other going, if we never have kids, we're okay. Wow. Like, I'm not going to be a victim or a broken person. And at the same time, and you're dealing with wonderful family comments and things that people, they mean well.
Yes.
They're saying things, but you've got to weed through all that emotionally.
Oh, gosh.
And, and I definitely learned a lot from that. I learned a lot how to be compassionate with people, how to actually show empathy. It's not often what you say at all. It's just truly understanding and probably compassion in our eyes and our heart. So got through that. 2007, 2008, and 2009. In June of 2009, got home from a Saturday night service, and Rose was kind of feeling off. This had happened many times where, just kind of feeling, maybe this is something. And I walked across the street to get the mail, and she had run in and taken a test and came out, and the first plus sign we'd ever seen. Oh. And so I did what, you should do. And I'm like, go take another one.
Yeah, exactly. Take 15 more.
She did 4.
No way.
And we literally went to Costco the next day and got another pack because it was so much fun. And they were all positive. So that was June. End of July, somewhere in there, I had gone off to camp, to our youth camp. Mm-hmm. And it was going to be a Monday that we were going to go and hear the heartbeat. And to this day, I don't understand, and I know, it's God's grace, it's His goodness, it's His love for us. Mm. But I had driven the car over to Starbucks up north, like an hour from where we lived, and I knew something was wrong. I knew, to best put it into words, I knew my baby was gone. Like, wow. I still can't talk about it. More now because I never went through the drive-thru. I'm sitting in the parking lot. And I'm mad, but I felt protected at the same time. And I opened up my Bible, and this makes it sound really spiritual, but I was just so, and I don't know. Like, I don't practically know, but I know. And Psalm 34:18, He's near to the brokenhearted and to the one whose spirit has been crushed. And I think it's the New Living or something. And I read that, and then I got angry, and I'm like, and I make sure my windows are up. I'm like, you cannot do this. It's the most honest to this day I've ever been with God. Like, you can't do this to us. It's not okay. Like, after all this time, so many people go through these kinds of things, but to have that scripture, I drove home from that parking lot. The appointment was like at 1:00. We walk in, sure enough, baby's gone. The amazing doctor, I'll never forget her. She was very pragmatic. She wasn't just like, we didn't need that right then. Wow. We needed her to tell us it's not over. Wow. This is terrible. She didn't cry with us. She didn't need to. I mean, Rose was hysterical. I had been prepared that morning. Wow. So able to drive home. I didn't even know how to use words, but I said, Rose, I don't know how to tell you this, but this is the scripture, and I just knew. And I think that gave us a little bit of hope, speaking of hope, which is a good thing. And her parents were there, remember that whole week, and it was very, very difficult. And I finally told my wife, I need to go back to camp Friday, like 4 days later. And that's another memory I have, I never forget. Nobody knew. One friend knew. Walking into the back of high school camp, I think it was, and nobody knows, and lifting your hands. And that was just one of those, okay, I do trust you. And so that's beginning of August now. Months go by, and in December, we went in for a minor procedure to try again. Mm-hmm. And in fact, when we went into the fertility doctor at that time, he's like, let's just go for it. And I said, okay. So this is the end of 2009, and December. So they told us. So we did it, and then we went in for a test. Rose had an appointment, and they said January 1st we'll let you know. And New Year's Eve, so the very end, and having tried since 2000, the very last day. Why why do I do this? Like, why do I cry about everything?
Thank you so much.
This is really me.
Yeah.
Phone call, and we were in the Costco parking lot, which is just, I love Costco. We're always at Costco. Costco parking lot, phone rings, and one of the nurses who had kind of walked with us for a couple of years from this particular clinic that I'll always adore, calls and says, "You ready for a new year?" Whew. And when you hear that, and, like, yeah, she goes, "You're going to have a baby." And like, okay. And so we had told a lot of people, family, the first time. And we really didn't tell anybody this time. I called Pastor Jude. And I had to tell one person within the next week. But so we found that out 2 weeks later, I think, on a Friday. We go in for the first look. And there's two little circles. And she's not, the nurse isn't saying it, and I'm looking at it and so we walk out, and I'm like, she goes, "There might be something here." And I saw it before she said it. To this day, Rose doesn't believe me. And we get in the car, and I'm like, I saw it. She's like, "No, you did,
Yeah.
Well, we're going to come back on Monday, and we're going to know for sure. That's how quickly, babies are amazing, how quickly they grow and shape and the whole thing. We come in 3 days later, and it's clear as day. There's two circles.
No way.
And here we go. And it's crazy. After all that time and after all that stuff, to think that there was no fear in any of it. I don't think at any point we were concerned. We were a high-risk pregnancy.
Right.
We were older.
Right.
As twins. We got to see them every week. We had an appointment every week. And so it was baby A, baby B. We called them Dude and Peach after a couple of great uncles. The whole journey was just fun. Rose was healthy the whole time up until the day they were born. There was just no complications whatsoever until they competed for the first position and Reagan cut off his brother's feeding tube, but then they came out and so they literally went from 2 ounces apart, and a week later they were almost 2 pounds apart.
Holy crap.
And they've been competing ever since. So it's a trip. And they know. What's cool is they know. And we did an interview with a national show, and we have it on our DVR.
Oh, no.
And Elgin will be like, "Daddy, I want to see the interview." So we'll turn it on, and Mom cries a lot, which is awesome. And he'll laugh, which is him not trying not to cry. So they know the whole story. They know, and how, which is pretty cool to have that documented. And it's fun. So that's our long story. But that's all we have. We waited 6 months. Looked at it and went, nope. And it's Final Four time. I went and took it for the team. So
that is amazing.
Yeah.
And that was a total of 9 years, 10 years?
It was really 10 years from the time more than 10 from the time they showed up in August of 2010. So that was pretty special.
How did you deal with all of the meaning? Like, because I had someone in my life. How do you deal with all these well-meaning comments that are like, in my experience, were like, I think I'm gonna die, or you're ripping my heart out, just doing something.
And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the journeys that we've gone on, and other friends that we know that have been in similar journeys, that we can help.
Right.
Kind of change the. I mean, it's definitely not just about difficulty having children. No. I feel for single people who get bizarre comments. People going through difficult things. Yep. I really am convinced, and the more it's sort of mirrored itself and parallel itself in some ways. Even my own journey with Jesus, and realizing that when He is everything and He's front and center, He gives me the capacity to be compassionate. Wow. Because I'm not looking at myself. Right. You can only really love people when you realize, and He gives you His capacity for love. And so I don't blame anybody. Looking back, within a couple of years, and we would even joke about, like, I'm going to write a book on the crazy things people say. Just crazy stuff. Yeah. But you look back and go, okay, I kind of get it. And, when you don't understand, and maybe you don't want to understand, maybe you just want to provide cheap advice.
Sure.
or just advice.
Right.
You know, and being family to someone in our position is tough, and because they feel it too, and they want so much for your miracle to come, and
exactly,
and you spend time with them, and they don't know what to say, and it is what it is.
Right.
There were some hard things, and I almost hesitate to even say some things, but you know, you don't tell somebody who can't have kids, well, you should go adopt, and then you can have your own. Because my sister has 2 adopted children, and she can't have kids, you know, because of her story. And Ethan and Eden, Eden and Joe are, you know, the most precious, and they're our family.
Wow.
They're not a means to an end, and all of that stuff. And so just nobody means to. We were told a few times you should adopt. It's God's will for you. And I love people. I love kids. I love all that. But it just was not what God had for us. And it's hard to explain that. Like, I don't have to defend that.
Right. Right.
And now I'm older, and that, you know, it's not really a possibility. But if I could do it my life all over again, I'd adopt 20. You know what? How do we need to prove this? You know, we didn't know we were waiting for 2, and the reality is we only wanted 1. And Rose was like, I come from 3. She's an only child.
Wow.
And God knew, and you know, just give you 2 at once, and sort of.
Right. You're good.
It is funny that people are like, I want to have twins too. I'm like, okay.
Oh, cool, man.
You should try that.
How many kids? You have none? All right.
They're a gift. They're a gift. They're a gift. When they're yelling at each other. So no, I don't. We didn't really have. I mean, we had good people, and we definitely had people. The people I appreciated the most were the people that didn't say anything. That's actually, and you can relate.
Yes. 100%.
That just you knew they had your back.
Yes.
You knew they were praying for you.
Yep.
And it's okay. I mean, I had the closest people to me say some difficult things.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't remember what they said.
Yep. Me either.
I remember some things.
Yep.
It's impossible. There were plenty of things I didn't tell my wife.
Mm-hmm.
It would have just been too much. And the first few years, I was the worst because I'm like, come on, Rose, just have faith. She finally looked at me and was like, could you just stop?
Wow.
Could you just cry with me?
Wow.
Could you just be there for me? That was my wake-up call.
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm this, you know, crazed Jesus follower who has no sense of compassion, and not even for my own wife. I mean, I had to deal with this stuff in me.
Wow.
And God's so gracious to all of us. So He's gracious, and the people that I want to be there now.
Yes.
More than anything, just a sounding board.
Yep.
And then to cry, and we definitely cried some tears, and but I wasn't there the whole time with you and Haley, and I know Rose met with Haley and other wonderful people that we've had meetings with, and but it's like just knowing you have somebody that can just understand on some level.
Yeah.
Because every situation is different too, even if we're talking about the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's that was hard. I don't know that it was this couple, it was that. I called Pastor Jude because Pastor Jude was one of the people that never said anything.
Wow.
And when I called him, he's like, I'm so happy. That's all I needed.
Wow.
I'm getting to tell Pastor Wendell
Oh my gosh.
and having him cry. I'm going, what happened to? And what ended up being the last year of his life. And then he met them before he passed. And that was special. It's always be special to me. We have a picture of him praying for him. The boys know. You know?
No way.
So those things.
That's
I'm grateful for all of it, as you know.
Right.
And God uses all of it if you don't play the victim.
Right. Well, I think that's what I was wanting to get at too. Is like it's obviously I'm being specific, but like you said, that is I feel like that's kind of like life.
Yeah.
Because you can. It sounds so simple, but like you can either focus on if you're still stuck on your hurt, all the people that are saying all the painful things.
Yeah.
But like instead of being a victim, how can you get out of it? Because it's like I've heard it a million times. Other than I guess having people like this that are been there.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't like. It's easy to feel hopeless, or you feel stuck, or be like justified and like God. Well, you should because I'm angry and I'm hurt.
Yeah.
And also you are the most consistent human that I've genuinely met in my life. Like I know I don't get to see you all the time, but saying like my last attempt at asking the question, how do you kind of that in life in general?
Nah, some of it's just my personality. Don't be fooled. I'm an emotional wreck, just like anybody
Yeah.
else. Boys, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I wonder where you get this from.
Right.
I don't know, man. I honestly think gratitude is a massive part of it. And I tell Elgin all the time, my oldest, by a minute, he lets people know that too. Like, buddy, you can't. And they play a lot of tennis, and he'll get so frustrated if somebody makes a bad call or something. Like, buddy, you can't control that.
Wow.
You can ask, you can do
Sure.
that, but you can only control your attitude.
Wow.
And my greatest proud dad moments is watching him grow into that. But that's true for all of us. Like, we never grow out of that. Any of us can just throw up our hands and go, it's not fair. I'm getting screwed. I'm hopeless. This isn't working. Easy for me to say on the back end of this.
Exactly.
Hope deferred makes the heart sick. I remember what it's like to be sick. Rose cannot tell the story, any part of it, without almost weeping.
Wow.
But those tears now have been turned to joy. I mean, there's a gratitude there, but there's also an ease to go back to the sadness. And I think that's to help others. I'm never going to be far from that emotion. Like, I prove it today. I can't. But I know in my heart, as I tell the story, it's all gratitude. Even the parking lot and the scripture, and I'm grateful. I hope I wake up every day with the same amount of gratitude. I tell the students, I'm still an 18-year-old kid whose dad left the family and got rescued by the church and came to Seattle, and I'll always be grateful for that. Like, I don't feel emotionally distant from those things. And I think, why is it when we grow up, we forget where we come from? We forget how God saved us, like literally rescued us and changed us. And not everything's going to go perfectly.
No, my gosh.
But when you see Eden's face, it's like, it's worth it all. My gosh, the most beautiful girl in the world. There's not, and I tell the boys, I said, you are so, every time I see you, I thank God.
Wow.
And they're just as precocious, and they are. So I tell them every night, the only thing I pray for them every single night is, Lord, thank you for my sweet boys.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're going to be sweet.
Right.
And most of the time. And so,
Wow.
But I don't know. I don't know. Some of it's just, I'm a pretty, life's good. And I'm never going to be dramatic.
Right.
We all know what that's like. So
There's enough of that out there.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Wow.
I'm just so grateful, truly, every day. But yeah,
I feel like that's, for me, is huge. Because that's what you said just made me remember a little bit of our process. I think it was like year 2 or something. And I remember, like, looking back now, I remember looking at my phone. I can't really see it. All I know is I'm just in so much pain because another thing happened. Someone else got pregnant. We had to celebrate their thing. Haley had her period, whatever.
yeah.
And I remember saying and feeling a lot of words that you probably shouldn't ever say.
I probably text them to you.
Yeah. I remember feeling a few things. One, I didn't know how to express how grateful I was that I had a place that I could just dump garbage out. And it was like little black and white characters of healing going into my body. And I'm extremely grateful for the process.
Yeah.
But I think without someone being able to be real with, because I know it's an emotion. It's so amazing. On the other side is like, that's great. Like,
Right.
God is so perfect.
Right.
Because we would not have had a marriage if we got pregnant earlier. I promise you, we sat down in a coffee shop. We're like, let's just screw it. Like, we're done. I hate this. And so, like, looking back, of course, it's always that way. But I was just incredibly, incredibly grateful for a place just to dump and have someone speak life, even in the lack of words or the hugs or just knowing that you're there. I think is everything. And because otherwise I would just get stuck and justified in my stuckness and justified in my anger.
Yeah.
Growing up in a church my whole entire life, still like just more angry than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And I feel extremely blessed and fortunate to have this, and to, I guess, I think if anything for me, your life has helped me in going through our little experience. It's helped me to have compassion for people and even be myself. Like, I don't have a clue what you're going through. And not that I want to sit here and walk on eggshells.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just presume things and start saying something.
Right.
Because I remember when someone didn't even, they're just being kind and saying something, and it was like, they might as well rip my heart out. And,
Yeah.
And I feel like if anything, I'm just so, that was easy to say. I'm so blessed and grateful for the experience, but I don't know how you do. I don't know how you don't do it without people.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I don't know, it is the love of God. But to look at somebody else's pain, even if you don't understand any of it, could you just forget about yourself?
Wow.
Could you just not consider yourself at all? I mean, that's what Jesus did. He didn't consider himself.
Wow.
And took our place on the cross. He didn't consider himself. And that's what I'm growing more into. And I think, God's only going to grow our heart bigger, which is scary and wonderful when you know where we come from, Dundee, Oregon, and Bend, Oregon, and the places we've, it's all shaped us, but to think God will only grow us.
Wow.
And that'll even be bigger for our kids. And I think they're getting a head start.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Not going to have to go through a lot of the stuff that we had to kind of wade through. But just go ahead and receive his love for them first. And when you do that, then amazing what can happen, and the discernment and capacity you have to really, truly love people and not take, I just, so many of the comments I think we got was just really from a selfish place, but they didn't know different. We want to kind of get rid of our guilt. We want to get rid of our awkwardness. So we're going to make this statement to you of what you should do to help me out.
Wow.
Well, I didn't know I needed to. I was just trying to have a baby because I want to have some Christmas presents under the tree.
Right. Yes.
I mean, Christmas became like the worst.
Oh gosh.
Those kind of holidays, and I do remember texting
Yes.
you on a Father's Day, maybe more than one, because that was the hardest day. Mother's Day maybe was the hardest day because it was so hard on Rose. For whatever reason, we still went to church most of the time, not every time. And you kind of become this, let's pray for people who can't have kids. John and Rose, come on up. And we were that for a few years. It's like, this isn't helping. I appreciate the prayer, but my soul, it's just not, it's not healthy. Thank God we can laugh now. We weren't laughing then.
Wow.
But
For you be spiritual fathers.
oh my gosh, yes. And Scripture becomes this thing to kind of medicate as opposed to enliven. And I don't know, just grateful. And I think, can we build the kind of church and have the kind of community and people and friendships that weep with those who weep and celebrate those who are celebrating, and we can really do that, because I don't think that was actually possible back in the day. For real. So that's what's so encouraging and probably what makes me so grateful.
Serious.
And that I still get to talk to students, and they still let me. Gave me time to grow up and be able to say it in such a way that I've actually experienced.
Wow.
The end of that's hope deferred makes the heart sick, but when the desire comes, it's a tree of life.
Wow.
When the desire comes, and the desire will come, it may not come the way you wanted it to, and it may not even be a child.
Wow.
And I think we have to actually say that sometimes. It's not the be all end all. There's plenty of amazing couples out there that just are not gonna.
Yep.
It's not gonna happen, but it doesn't mean they're not gonna find fulfillment if we really believe the gospel.
Wow.
And we have to say those things, and not then. I mean, the dumb things. I'm still shocked, and I kind of want to get the story out. So if anyone ever says that around me, I'm not going to punch you, but internally I am, and we're going to have a conversation, to help grow you up.
Yes.
But we're all doing our best.
Wow. How in the world are you able to be present? Because I know that's one thing that impacted me the most, or at least what you're going through is being consistent and being present.
Right.
Because that's easy now. I have a baby. Our life's amazing. We have another one on the way. Like, it just feels like us on the up and up. When we were going through it, and I'm sitting across from Dustin and Rachel. Haley just started a period in the car. Sorry if it's TMI. We walk up. We're gonna have dinner, and we're both already trying to hold the tears in because we're so inward focused.
Yeah.
And then, hey, we're going to have a baby, and we just lose it. So those type of situations I feel like are more common. How in the blank do you do that?
Yeah, now you're right though. Now it's easy, right? We weren't that present back then, and you couldn't be though.
Yeah.
Rose, you should go to this baby shower. It's probably the right thing to do. But I know when you go, because of the event that it is, rightfully so,
Right.
3 or 4 people at least
Yep.
are going to say something terribly painful. They don't mean to.
Yeah.
And it might be their own awkwardness, or it just might be a harmless thing
Yep.
that they don't mean to say.
Yep.
But it's going to hurt like crazy. So just don't go.
Wow.
And if they have a problem with that, it's okay.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, and it was one of the things that was hard for us is a lot of our friends back then, their children were practically teenagers by the time we had
right.
babies. So our friendships changed, but that's normal. I mean, I don't no harm, and just some of those dynamics. If we have the kind of friendships and people that we can actually really be there with each other, then we can be present.
Yeah.
There's always going to be 1 or 2 difficult things, but as long as the majority of that is healthy, then maybe we can actually build generations that can go through hard things, but we're always there together, and you don't end up isolating. Because we were definitely, here I am on staff.
Yeah.
Rose was working at the university, so we had 2 different jobs, which probably helped a little bit, to be honest. But we really isolated ourselves. And people that had been there for us weren't really there, but I don't blame them. What do you say?
Yeah.
We weren't the easiest. We're not celebrating all your stuff.
Right.
So I don't blame you. Like, there's no...
Right.
Again, I'm not sitting back here years later going,
Right.
you weren't there.
Right,
It's just victim stuff.
Yep. Exactly.
But I had enough sense to go, okay, Rose's priority. I'm not putting her in a place that could potentially be very difficult. And if we're called out to be selfish, at the same time we couldn't avoid church. At the same time we couldn't avoid the presence of Jesus. At the same time we couldn't avoid family things and other things. You can't completely cut off. And I've known people that completely cut off.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. But I think there's some place for, okay, this isn't going to be, I don't ever want to be selfish. I really didn't, and I know we were at times, but I didn't, because if I trust Jesus, I suppose it's what it probably came back to in my mind, then I can't protect myself all the time.
Wow.
I can protect my wife, and there are those moments, and again, in 2008, when we have this conversation of hey, we're going to be okay, it wasn't easy the next 2 years, especially after we lost the baby, but we did engage ourselves a bit more, and it was a few years that was just tough. And we're always hanging out in the age group as well, of people who don't always have
You just set up
the most sense. Yeah, and I'm such an open book. I would share things. I stopped sharing at about 2005.
Wow.
I just stopped talking about it.
Wow.
And it was a bit of, hey, John, stop talking about it and just trust God. Grow up. Maybe 2006, I don't know. I had to do that. Because I was... Yeah, it's the journey. But if we have the kind of community like you've described, and you do have people that you can literally say anything you're actually feeling.
Yes.
Don't sugarcoat it. Don't, because that's not helpful either.
No.
So I do remember. I wish I had them on file somewhere. Some of the texts I got from you, and honestly, not one word of it, not one bit of it was like, oh my gosh,
This guy needs.
Dominic and Haley are not doing well. It was. Hey, probably text Haley. Probably have coffee. But there was nothing shocking. In fact, it made me feel good.
Wow.
Part of it was probably selfish, like, oh, I wish I could have said that back then.
Exactly. Exactly.
But it's real, and that actually shows health. It actually shows that your soul's at health.
Wow.
I mean, you could just kind of put it out there, like me in that car. It's like, this is what's really going on. And however I need to describe that and communicate that, that's going to be more healthy than me trying to stuff it and work it out and faith it out and all that other stuff that we're told, which isn't actually real. That's not, I mean, look at the person of Jesus. He's
Oh my gosh.
standing over your life like this, going, I'm here. I haven't gone anywhere.
Wow.
You have to trust me. And he sees the end from the beginning,
Wow.
which kind of sucks when you're in the middle.
Yeah, it does.
But it is what that's absolute truth. And how do we deal with that? And then I don't want to belittle anybody else's pain. I've gotten plenty of messages from people. Hey, got married like 2 years ago. We've been trying to have kids for 6 months, and it's not working, and we're feeling what you guys felt. And my brain goes, really?
You don't have a clue.
Really?
Right.
And I've had the conversation with Rose, and she's like, don't do that. And I'm like, and I need her to tell me, like, I know she's
Right.
going to tell me that,
Right,
so I'm
right.
not completely heartless.
You need to say this to me.
Right. I was like, okay, yeah. Because I do remember first year, second year.
Ugh,
It was nothing like the 5th and 6th and 7th.
I can't imagine.
But it was brutal, and because it's their life, and you're feeling it, and it's real. You can't take that away from people. And somebody wants to get married, or somebody wants to get a job that they've been dreaming about. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that belittles
Wow.
or needs them to make me feel good. No, I'm just going to listen,
Wow.
and when it's right, I'll say something. Maybe. Now, I mean,
Oh,
we did
I
talk,
know.
but
I had someone over came over to our house and they were talking about you, and they brought that up specifically. They said one thing I love and hate about John Smith equally is that I'll ask him, no, I need to know, and he'll just sit there silently and maybe say something. Yeah, you got it, it's in you. He's like, I didn't know how to feel.
God, if I was the answer man, I'd shoot myself.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah.
yeah. We have some new students this week,
Yeah.
and I was just telling our second year students that they don't know me yet. 2 of them walked in my office today and yesterday. John, I need to do this ministry practicum thing, and what should I do? And I just look at them. I'm like, oh, what do you want to do? And they're really trying to fish,
Right.
I'm like, come on.
You'll get it. You'll
You'll
learn.
figure it out, buddy. You came all the way from Finland. You'll figure it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last question I have is, so now being on the other side of this, you've
Yeah.
gone through the whole entire process. For all of life, like not just infertility or struggling, what would be your advice? Because I feel like you're the best person, in my opinion, to ask, like, how do you move forward now being on the other side of this, helping other people? And I mean, I guess that's most what I'm thinking about, like working with other people that are in something, even if it's not your exact struggle or what you went through.
We had the boys in August 2010. They did a video for Christmas Eve. I actually forgot about that, of our story and just with the babies, and it ended up being 5 days after Pastor Wendell died.
Wow.
And so it was just this really, obviously, it was a tough season for our church.
Yeah, it was.
And somebody saw the video, and then they contacted somebody else, and they contacted us, and so they put us together, and we ended up going to dinner with this couple. And I mean, I think it was our babies were so young, I wasn't sleeping.
Yeah, of course.
Twins. And here we are at this dinner, and I'll never forget it. They've been trying to have kids for 17 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember sitting there, and they're crying, like, when we saw your video, you're so inspirational, and we want to have the faith you have. And I'm looking at them like, no. You're still here? Now, I could understand a bit of their journey.
Sure.
They begin to describe the amount of disappointment, the amount of hope deferred. It was overwhelming, like everything you could possibly do.
Wow.
And the IVF and just
Wow.
one thing after another. And honestly, we both sat there and just kind of cried with them at Hector's in Kirkland. And I'm sitting there like, there's just no, how do you help?
Yeah.
And I said to him, I was just very honest. I'm like, can I just be really honest? I mean, it was 10 years for us, which is a lot. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine.
Wow.
And they open up their whole life and their whole heart and life. They don't know us. And
Wow.
so, like, oh, well, hey, I'm sure we cried, and it was very good. It was good. It was personal, but like, hey, we're praying for you. Like, it just everything
Right.
feels cheap.
It so does, man.
But I also didn't hold back. I also didn't act false humble, like I couldn't provide some encouragement,
Wow.
provide some prayer, and prayed for him that night. And it wasn't because we prayed for him. I love the old church things. And then we prayed for him, and 9 months later, it
They had a baby.
was about 10 months later.
No way.
And
Oh my gosh.
their son he's about, he's probably turning 8 in November, I think. And I still see him at church, and not often, a few times a year.
Yeah.
Just the coolest kid, and they're still so grateful just for this little one conversation. We never even hung out with him again. But it was a moment, and I you don't go looking for these things, but in whatever kinds of situations we're talking about, I know I can help because I know I love them. That's the only reason. And it gets me because I know myself, and the tree of life to me that, when the desire comes, the tree of life to me is I really understand in a very spiritual way the love of God in a way I didn't before, and I think that was before the kids were ever a deal. Because I think that's the story. If he's the promise, they're like the icing on the cake. Yes, it's an amazing story. It's awesome, and I get to raise them. But they didn't prove God's love to me.
Wow.
And if I hadn't have done, and that is really our story. If we hadn't have come to that place of we don't need kids to prove God's love, then when those boys showed up, I would still be a victim. I would still be this guy like, well, finally. Yeah, I'm going to tell you our testimony. I'll tell you my testimony. We had to wait 10 years, and finally this kid.
Wow.
And you can be a victim, and once a victim, always a victim. I think you got to come to this place of, he doesn't owe me nothing. He gave me everything. If you never do another thing for me. Wow. And from that space now going forward in people's lives and whatever they're going through, and it was, doing a funeral right about that time period for a man who'd killed himself, and looking at that family, I would not have been any help in that setting. I mean, the details behind that story are devastating. And doing that funeral, and nobody else wanted to be a part of that funeral. I don't blame them. There was no family involvement. They were there, extended family or anybody, and bringing hope into that space. And I definitely asked for help and got some advice, and just ended up doing this thing. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done, and yet it wasn't hard because I understood his love. And for those kids who lost their dad, and for the whole, it's like I wouldn't wish that on anybody, any part of that, obviously. And so, I don't know, man. The minute you think, I definitely am convinced of this in life. The minute you think you kind of, man, I'm 44 now. We have been through some stuff.
Right.
I got a lot to offer. I should write a book now. I used to say that stuff.
But please,
A lot to
seriously,
offer.
write a
Yeah,
book.
well, you can help me. You can help me write it. But
Wow.
I need him more tomorrow than I'll need him today, and I need him right now, and that's only going to grow. And I'm going to give that to my children. That's the greatest investment I can put into them, is that kind of reliance.
Wow.
And we talk about it. They know, and it's their story. Ultimately, it's Rose and I's story, but it's their story.
Wow.
They're not alive without the journey and not giving up. And definitely, you kind of forget the moments that I'm sure Rose wanted to give up on me. And, we had a couple tipping point moments for sure, but she's a good wife.
She's an amazing human.
And, it gets better every day, and so do we. And
wow.
So I don't know, man. Anyone who sits in a moment like this and goes, well, here's some principles and here's the top 5 things, I've already tuned out, to be honest, because I just think, this was all about Jesus. Otherwise, we're leading people to ourselves or to our podcast or to our book or to our, it's silly. It's just silliness. But he's good.
Oh my gosh.
And I can do that. I remember a girl saying to me years ago, she walks up after a class, and I'll never forget it. I don't even know what I taught it, but I wasn't that good. She goes, I don't know about anything else. It's something about just trusting God. I don't know about all the rest of it. She was a very insecure girl. I still know her today, and her family and the whole thing. And she goes, I don't know about all that, but I can do that. Wow. I can do that. Just that statement of, I don't know about all the rest of the stuff. And life is so confusing, and it's so much more convoluted and complicated than it's ever been in America and the world. But I know I can lose myself in him.
Come on.
And I know he's enough, and he doesn't need to do anything for me to prove it.
Yeah.
But Eden and the one coming are sure a prize to hold on to. So, yeah.
Wow.
And maintain that level of gratitude. It's real.
I feel like that, though, is the reason why I wanted to ask the question, because well, if I'm honest, I know I wouldn't get the answer that people I think were looking for, but I feel like that is a summation of all of it. I feel like it's like you embodied love. At least that, to me, it's what I call whatever you want. It's just the fact that you don't sit here and go, right, here's your 5 steps, is maybe it may be right after the first few seconds, like, well, why aren't you? And then it starts to just like break me down.
Yeah.
And I feel like for that I'm eternally grateful that you didn't tell me the things since I was 18 years old in your office till now 33. Like,
wow.
I am overwhelmed and grateful that you're willing to just be honest and real and sometimes not say something even when you want to be like,
what? I want to?
I mean, way back in the day, of course, not now.
Not to you, no.
No, yeah, never.
Dustin, for sure.
Yeah, he needs some more, probably.
He needs some more. I miss that guy.
Oh, man. But for reals, though, I am extremely grateful because that's changed my life. And I think more ways than one, I see it come out now. Like, your willingness just to be there has seriously impacted my life. So thank you.
Thank you. It's so fun doing this.
Yes.
Just to hang out.
Yeah. Well,
and I get to go hug Eden.
Yeah.
That's all I really want.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this.
Yes.
Outro. This is the outro. This is the outro. If you made it this far along in the video, drop a like, comment I made it this far along. Thank you so much for watching the video. It means the world. I know it's a longer one, but man, so good. Love to know your thoughts, what you like the most. Hit them down below. I want to leave you with this. What is there more of? Ants or leaves? Not pine needles, not anything pine, but actual leaves on trees. What is there more of? Comment down below. I'll catch you in the next one, baby. Peace.